I came home to find 210 strangers partying on my lawn, dancing, drinking, celebrating a full wedding with tents, flowers, and a DJ, all set up on my property. I didn't know a single person. Turns out, the HOA gave them permission, without ever telling me, and at the center of it all, a woman who thought she could get away with everything. But karma had other plans and, trust me, she never saw it coming. I live in a quiet, suburban neighborhood just outside the city. Clean streets, manicured lawns, the kind of place where everyone waves at each other but keeps their distance. When I first moved in, the HOA seemed harmless enough. They handed me a thick welcome packet full of rules, regulations, and smiling faces. But it didn't take long to realize something was off. There was one woman in particular, let's call her Karen, who always seemed to be at the center of every meeting, every decision, every problem. She had a clipboard, a condescending smile, and an obsession with control. At first it was just small things, a note about my trash cans being left out too long, a warning about my grass being half an inch too tall. I laughed it off, but something about the way she watched my house, it felt like I was being set up for something. I just didn't know what. It started with unusual activities, small things, easy to ignore at first. A landscaping crew I didn't hire, trimming the trees near my fence. A van parked across the street for hours with people inside, just watching. One afternoon, I came home to find someone measuring my yard with a tape measure. When I asked what they were doing, they said they were scouting event space and thought the lot was community property. I corrected them firmly and they left without apologizing. A few days later, I found a flyer wedged in my door for a wedding planning service, featuring a photo of a backyard setup that looked disturbingly like mine. I started asking questions, neighbors, the HOA board, even Karen herself, but every time I got the same rehearsed smile and vague answers. Oh, I'm sure it's nothing. Just a little mix-up. Don't worry, you're not on the list. That last one, it hit different. Not on the list for what? I didn't know it yet, but this wasn't just about control. It was about entitlement, and I was about to be caught in the middle of it. It happened on a Saturday. I'd been out since early morning and didn't check my phone much. As I turned onto my street that afternoon, I noticed cars lined up all the way to the corner, more than I'd ever seen before. Then I saw the white tents. Dozens of people. A catering truck, photographers, music. At first, I thought maybe a neighbor was throwing a block party, but the moment I pulled into my driveway, my stomach dropped. There were tables set up on my lawn, folding chairs across my driveway, guests walking in and out of my backyard. One man even waved at me like I was the intruder. I got out of my car, completely stunned, and was immediately swarmed by people I didn't know dressed in suits, holding champagne flutes. I asked someone what was going on, and she smiled and said, "You must be the homeowner. This place is perfect for a wedding." That's when I saw her Karen standing in the middle of the crowd, clipboard in hand, grinning like this was all part of the plan. I pushed through the crowd and demanded answers. She calmly told me the HOA had approved the space for use and that I'd been notified weeks ago. I hadn't. No emails, no letters, no warning, just 210 strangers trashing my property, like it belonged to them. I was furious, but I hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. When the last drunk guest stumbled off my lawn and the speakers finally went silent, I was left standing in the wreckage, trash everywhere, deep tire marks in my grass, wine spilled across my deck. Someone had even used my guest bathroom without permission and left the door wide open. I started documenting everything. Photos, videos, timestamps. I wasn't just angry, was in full damage control mode. That night, I sent a scathing email to the HOA, attaching every photo and demanding answers. Their response, a cold, copy-pasted paragraph about community spirit and temporary use authorization under HOA guidelines. Guidelines they had never shared with me. I requested an emergency board meeting. Karen didn't even bother to attend. I found out later that she'd personally signed off on the event without a board vote, claiming community consensus when there had been none. That's when things got serious. I brought in a lawyer. I filed a formal complaint with the city, and as I started digging deeper, I uncovered something even more outrageous. This wasn't the first time Karen had repurposed private property for her own benefit. This wedding, just the most outrageous example. The community was starting to whisper. Neighbors who once stayed silent began sharing their own stories, and Karen, she was about to face more than just an angry email. She was about to face consequences. Karen thought she'd walk away untouched, but karma had other plans. Within a week of my lawyer getting involved, the city sent out a zoning investigator. Turns out, Karen had filed paperwork claiming the property was common HOA event space, a total lie. The investigator took one look at the photos, saw the tent set up, the crowd, and the damages, and immediately escalated it. I pressed charges for trespassing and property damage. The wedding planner was also named in the complaint, and they threw Karen under the bus, providing emails where she clearly authorized the use of my land. That's when the HOA board finally turned on her. At the next meeting, which was absolutely packed with angry neighbors, she tried to spin it like it was a miscommunication. But I wasn't the only one with receipts. Other homeowners came forward. Someone's kid had their birthday party shut down over noise complaints from Karen. Another was fined for hanging wind chimes. The hypocrisy was disgusting. She was removed from the board unanimously, and soon after, I learned she'd put her house up for sale. Quietly, no farewell party, no apology, just gone. And while it didn't undo the damage, it felt good, really. Good to see the one person who thought she could control everything finally lose it all. That's the thing about people like Karen. They always think the rules don't apply to them. Till the rules come knocking, the wedding is long over. The grass has grown back, and Karen's house sits empty with a for sale sign still, gathering dust. I still get neighbors thanking me for standing up, for not letting it slide like so many of us used to. And while I wish I could say I laughed it off, the truth is it changed how I see this neighborhood, and people like her. The way some folks weaponize authority and assume silence means permission. That ends when someone pushes back. I didn't plan on being that someone, but I'm glad I was. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Entitlement can throw a party on your lawn, but accountability always shows up after the guests leave. And Karen, she learned the hard way. Karma doesn't knock. It kicks the damn door in asterisk.